Would you be surprised if I told you that a lot of climate change science has its origin in the technology developed during the Cold War by the US Air Force? You see, in the 1950s, happenings in the upper atmosphere were more of interest to a weapons engineer than a meteorologist. Understanding the role of various gases in warming up the Earth's upper atmosphere was crucial to designing heat-seeking missiles. This led to measurement of concentration of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. And the rest, as they say, is the climate change history. So with such important role played by the military in the discovery of the greatest threat to humanity, why should it not play a greater role in combating climate change? I started thinking about this a few years ago when I first started working with military and paramilitary to implement renewable and energy efficient systems in Ladakh and Kashmir. I realized that armed forces all over the world have disciplined, trained and capable group of people with superior task execution skills. Imagine the boost the fight against climate change can get if militaries all over the world can be co-opted in it. India's defense budget is about $70 billion and that of US is nearly $800 billion. Using even a part of these financial resources, coupled with the vast technology resources these militaries have, can help us address the challenge of climate change in a much better way. Why should the military be the weapon of last resort in this unconventional combat we all are fighting together? Militaries getting involved in combating climate change probably doesn't go with the notion of military that we all have. Historically, military has been used as an instrument of destruction to capture land, to capture resources, to propagate a particular ideology. In such roles, militaries world over have done significant environmental damage, like spilling of 500 million gallons of oil by Iraqi army in Gulf War, or use of Agent Orange by US Army to defoliate the jungles of Vietnam for 10 years. But defense of the land, its people and resources is also a function of the military. And when they are threatened by climate change, an active role by military is needed. We can view this in two broad themes. First, it is an indisputable fact that climate change is a global security risk now. This was validated when UN Security Council had its first open debate about climate-related risks to international peace and security in February this year, followed by IPCC report in August. All armed forces need to be prepared for this. The other view is that needs of the military can act as investment to innovation and implementation of green technologies. Leadership in green technologies is going to drive the economic growth in the coming years. We have seen this in last century where industrial growth was fueled by technologies developed using funds of the military during the wars. Some of you may be wondering how climate change can be a security risk. Let's talk about it. There could be possibility of internal disturbances due to soil degradation, reduced water resources, and resulting migration. We have a prime example of how a shrinking Lake Chad created a fertile ground for recruitment of terrorists by Boko Haram, or how a multi-year drought in Syria contributed to the civil unrest there. It's not hard to imagine unrest in India if incomes from agriculture or forest were affected in certain sensitive areas, or sea level rise led to influx of refugees from a neighboring country. There could be a threat to critical infrastructure like ports, nuclear installations along the coast, defense establishments, or even electricity grid due to climate stress. Remember, the Fukushima disaster happened due to tsunami, and more than 50% of nuclear power generation capacity of India is along its coast. And on the other hand, the snout of the Siachen glacier has receded by more than 2 kilometers in last 15 years. Such events will require rethinking of our operational and tactical strategies and realignment of our equipment and infrastructure. Also, the armed forces will invariably be drafted to assist civilian administration in case of environmental disasters, which are increasing in their intensity and frequency. Movement of troops to provide humanitarian and disaster relief will affect its preparedness and readiness in certain critical areas. So this will require restructuring of our armed forces to balance its strategic and operational needs. Being a global issue, one might imagine that the climate risks apply to all nations in more or less the same way. We couldn't be more wrong. India is the hotspot that has consistently ranked among top 10 countries in the Global Climate Risk Index and is surrounded by countries that bear similar risks. In such a situation, climate change becomes a very large threat multiplier, especially when existing internal and external conflicts are also considered. The same has now been recognized by the Joint Doctrine of Indian Armed Forces, where climate change and environmental disasters are now considered non-traditional threats to national security. Though this is a positive sign, there's a great scope for action on the ground. There's a great potential for technical collaboration with universities and research centers that can give climate science research in the country a big boost. We can monitor various climate parameters and model scenarios for various parts of the country. This will help in better preparedness from a security point of view and also the remedial steps that need to be taken. Despite having no mandates from the government, just like some industries do, many arms of the military and paramilitary are already implementing renewable solutions. They can play a much larger role by implementing renewable and energy efficient solutions aggressively, especially in the non-combat areas. This is not difficult to do because most of the infrastructure of the armed forces is very similar to the civilian infrastructure. They have buildings, vehicles, need for electricity, heating, cooling, waste management. These are the same sectors that are looking for funds for innovation and scale up. At nearly $70 billion, India has the third largest defense budget in the world. And a good amount of it today goes into infrastructure and equipment that is not sustainable. By making significant investments in sustainable technologies, they can increase the market size for some of these technologies by a few $100 million or maybe even a few $1 billion, giving some of these technologies the required scale to drive down the costs and even achieve global leadership. A model for engaging armed forces in the fight against climate change already exists in India. You may find it interesting to know that there is already an ecological territorial army that is carrying out the task of afforestation in many states in India. This army can be expanded from its current size of 10 battalions to accelerate the task of creating large carbon sinks. On the engineering front, Military Engineering Services and Central Public Works Department that oversee the task of design and implementation of most of the military and paramilitary infrastructure can see how sustainability can be part of their DNA. Now, this need not be a one-way street. We need to walk along with the armed forces in this journey. So how can we help reduce conflict and help armed forces become more sustainable? We've already witnessed how control over resources like fossil fuels have led to wars. A similar situation may be developing in control over minerals that are required for green economy. Minerals like lithium in Zimbabwe, cobalt in Congo, nickel in Guatemala and other rare earths in China. If you're a product developer or researcher, ensure that the products you develop do not require these new age conflict materials. If you're a climate entrepreneur, consider defense services as a part of your addressable market. Since it's not a designated industry, most climate entrepreneurs do not consider defense services as a part of their target market. This results in significant delay in defense personnel getting information about new technologies and lack of access to expertise in emerging technologies. Defense expos tend to be solely about military hardware and software. Industry bodies can now start engaging with armed forces procurement by providing sustainable products and services too. If you're a climate policy expert, include defense services as a part of your analysis or study. Suggest ways for them to address the challenge of climate change in a better way. I believe that the military organizations across the world are doing their best to strike a fine balance between keeping their sword sharp while being responsible towards the environment they are in, however hostile it may be. With better access to technology and expertise, I am sure they can be our warriors in combating climate change too.